Manschool202.
Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Better man. Well, put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't.
Mike's on my... Yeah. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? What's going on, my people? It's good to be in the building. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know we're running a little late, as per usual. A smidge. Traffic's been a little crazy, but I'm good to be here. Good to be here. Also, keep in mind, man, I put a poll out on YouTube, and I asked when you guys would like a second stream. So from this point on, the second stream will be Sunday at 7 o'clock. Sunday at 7 o'clock will be the second stream. I'll be streaming it from my home studio. So Big Money Mike is in the building. He won't be in the building for that. It'll just probably rolling dolo. What up, Mike?
What's up, Dante? How's everything? Good?
Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here. You know how we do it. Live consultations, 347-464-2827. People are checking in. That's dope. And, you know what we do. Ask anything you want to know. You can ask. I'm here. Had a good week. Good weekend, at least. Had a bunch of shows, good shows. I was out in Fairfield, Connecticut. It was dope out there. Out with Sean Patton and Khalees. Man, dope times, dope audiences, man. Thanks for anybody who came out to that. I'm still working on my website so that y'all can follow me and come out and see my comedy. See how dope I am on that shit too. Y'all know what it is. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for the notification. Please do that as immediately so you don't forget. Appreciate y'all doing that. Telephone number is 347-464-2827. Something I wanted to talk about today was a little thing that was on my mind. I'm trying to get it in before the calls start coming in. Had a friend of mine. This is an interesting story. Was a friend of mine. I don't know if I could call him a friend, but he was definitely an acquaintance. It was a guy who I actually consulted with several times in the last 3 or 4 years, right? Was going through a divorce. Was with this older woman. She didn't want to sleep with him. It was interesting because, after she got married, she made it clear what an unstoppable whore she was, Mike, before him, and how she was so glad that she left that life behind. Go ahead, Mike. You can see.
I'm glad they're open and honest with each other. Communication is key.
Good answer, Mike. Good answer. Or fuck that bitch.
Did he know this going into it?
No, he's younger than her. She basically was an unstoppable whore prior to him. Then she married him, and then all of a sudden she left all of that behind. So she didn't, he was, begging for sex and married.
You don't leave that behind.
I mean, all that good practice you got in on learning how to give it.
Statistically speaking, you're gonna bump into someone at some point. You're not leaving it behind.
Right, and like all those years of learning how to give some good brain. You should. Listen, anybody that I was in a relationship, I was being a hoe in preparation for you. I was trying to practice. Mike, do you know how difficult, how all the flaps and flippers that a vagina has, that you got to know how to...
Could you imagine every time you have sex with a girl, it's like the first time, and you're just like, oh, I feel like I'm diffusing a bomb.
Oh, my God. Do I cut the pink wire?
No, all that hoeing, that's like getting a college education. You were putting your time in, you were studying.
I had a PhD, a pimp and hoes degree. So, And so this woman was like, she had to battle scars, but then she turned it all in for the missionary. And
something sweet about that.
Not for him. Not for him, because he was starving. So I counseled him, and that's not the point. So when he called me up, the counseling was about him being with her, She's decisively older than him, which I think he was. Who really was the missionary, right? the fact that he upgraded this old broad, right, with his young untampered penis, and then she didn't want to, she didn't want to put out, right? And then he called me up about it, and we talked about it, and I said, listen, if she doesn't want it.
Oh wait, she stopped hoeing, got with him, and said, "I'm no longer doing it."
Right,
even for you.
Right.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Now,
now you're.
Before I was like, okay, I get it. Maybe she's a little bit of a hoe. You could get over it. But to be like, I'm a hoe, but starting now.
Starting now.
It's like waiting online for the roller coaster. Right as you get to the front, it's like, no, we're closing.
We're closing down. Or she, you meet a girl. She says, "Oh my God, if you had met me last year, oh my God, I'd be blowing you already."
It's like, well,
do we have a time machine? And so,
where do I get that fun person?
See, because I was so much more fun before, so he called me about that, and I was like, look, if she, one of the things I'll say, no matter what I teach, I tell you this: listen, you got to let people get to make their own decisions. That's just the case. People do what they want to do. So when you're in a relationship with somebody and they're not trying to make you happy, they're making a choice to do that. Now, maybe there's always a possibility that maybe they haven't paid attention in the course of the relationship and they don't know how to make you happy. Maybe you haven't spoke up and said what are the things that make you happy. But I say this all the time, man. Before you get married, any of you dudes who buying a ring and getting engaged, the conversation needs to be had. Listen, if you stop, because women, a lot of times women want the marriage, but they don't want they want the wedding, but they don't want the marriage. You're signing up for fidelity. You want him to be faithful, right? And so that means you're signing up to fuck him for the rest of his life. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that you should be unreasonable, right? We're not talking about somebody who was in a horrible motorcycle accident, a vagina was damaged on a picket fence or something. We're talking about somebody who's had a well-workable vagina. You want to get married, you want to have the wedding, you want to have the white dress, and then you don't want to have the marriage. And part of the marriage, we're all, human beings are three-dimensional. We live in a three-dimensional world. There's emotional, intellectual, and physical. All three of those aspects are equally as important. And all three of those aspects have to be satisfied. And when you're with somebody, people, they get into the relationship and then they flip the script and they don't want to, they become asexual. But here's the thing. They can only do that if you didn't speak about it before. So what I tell you is, as much as you might be in love and you want to get married, you need to have the conversation. Listen, if you stop fucking me and it becomes excessive, eventually, I'm going to talk to you about it, and I'm going to let you know, because we need to communicate about what makes us happy, because those things change, right? But if after I speak to you, there's not an adjustment, I'm going to fuck somebody else. I don't think that's unfair. Is that unfair?
If that's something you talk to them about, you can't not talk about it and then let a year pass and be like, now I'm pissed off.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
Most people do not want an asexual relationship.
Right.
I've met maybe 3 people in my life like that.
Right.
And the chances that you happen to be with this person, you never discussed it, and they're just cool with that, is slim to none.
But let me ask you this: how many women get married and don't have and maybe don't? The assumption of fidelity is that's assumed.
I no longer have to.
It's assumed that you're getting married for each other, for sickness and health, for death do us part. We're supposed to be, unless of course you're talking about swinging or whatever. And I'm not judging that either. But I'm just saying, in a regular traditional marriage, the understanding is that you're going to sleep with each other only, right? Unless of course that is the assumption. So why would a woman have the assumption that she could have a marriage and not sleep with her husband?
Then could he have the assumption that he could go get it else? If we're assuming.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying let's not have the assumption. I'm saying I'm advising men to have that conversation. listen, I love you to death, and I want us to be together, but understand something. If you stop fucking me, I'm going to fuck somebody else. I'm not going to just jump, you know what I'm saying, because it's a slow Tuesday and you got home late from work. You know what I mean?
If that's if it's a big thing, it's a big thing. And
it is a big
people
thing.
Love sex. That's kind of like what runs the world besides money.
No,
you know what I mean?
You know, look, people go.
So you can't just be like, actually, I was thinking about it. I'm not into it no more.
Right,
You're on your own.
Right. Valentine's Day, Father's Day. You want to get your son, your husband something? Give him some pussy. Suck his dick. You got an argument? Suck his dick.
And there ain't a dude in the world who would be like, that's a good enough present. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Man,
could you imagine if I didn't get my girlfriend shit for Valentine's? I was like, I'll eat your pussy. I'd have my shit on the stoop.
Exactly. So, like, the assumption is crazy. The fact that there's this lack of accountability, and I think you have to have this conversation. I think there was just like the assumption of fidelity is there. I think the assumption of a robust sex life is also there. And I get that we change, we all change, and we outgrow each other. But if we outgrow each other, then let's end the marriage. And this way we could just say that we changed. Like, if a woman, and I've counseled dudes where they were like, they were with their girl, and then all of a sudden their girl would be like, I was really thinking about, I was always like bi-curious, and I wanted to get with a woman. So let's have we should have an open relationship. First of all, if a woman says that to you, the relationship is over. Never in the history of life has a woman woke up and said, you know what? I feel like my man he's probably getting tired of my vagina. You know what? I'm going to start bringing girls home so he can fuck them just to make him happy. That, I don't know. I mean, I'm quite sure that's not true. My wife used to do that. But that's not the point.
Well, also, I feel like young people, their new thing is like, oh, we're poly, or like our relationship's different. But it almost always comes down to someone's a little hornier than the other.
Exactly.
So they front like it's like, we're being very liberal about this. But it's like you're super horny, so you got in this relationship being like, oh, actually, I see other girls too. Yeah. And she doesn't realize what you're doing, so she's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. If we're open, we're open. And
usually that goes to shit anyway.
Of course, usually it's one person's horny and the other one just kind of lets them do it. It's rarely like both of them having
and
fun.
Usually the relationship goes to shit at some point in time anyway.
If you're starting the relationship like, hey, I'm looking for other pussy, and it's not because you're actually poly, it's just because like I love pussy and I can't have just one.
Right.
Chances are it's not going to work out of you.
Or
if you're starting on a lie.
You got to if you're starting on a lie. But if you start with an open, honest conversation about this is why when we talk, when I talk about Manschool and I talk about the principles ACE, it's authenticity, telling the truth, credibility, showing up, saying and meaning what you say and do, and empathy to understand that somebody else is going through something else. So what I'm saying is if your woman is on a period and she and maybe you don't run red lights. I mean, I do. I run a red light. I mean, that's why they make red towels. So they make they make burgundy sheets. Did you know that, Mike? They make those
for that.
I mean, what else would you make them for? Who needs burgundy sheets, right? But they also make period panties. But who am I to say, right? But my point being is, we're not talking about being unreasonable. It's another acronym that I talk about. RFF is reasonable, fair, and firm. Is what I'm asking about. Is it reasonable? Am I being fair? And am I also being firm about what makes me happy? Those are, and these are things that you can, whenever you're in question of whether you're right, wrong, or where you should be at, if you go through that checklist, am I practicing ACE? Am I reasonable, fair, and firm? What are my negotiables? And why am I? And I got to make sure that I don't negotiate my non-negotiables. We got a call? Let's go.
Oh, snap.
Caller, you're on air.
Dante.
What up? Who am I speaking to? Where you calling from?
Oh, it's Trey from Cali.
What up, Trey? What's going on? How can I help you, my brother?
Well, it's good. I just had a question. I want to know your opinion on it.
Hit me.
So, I don't know if you saw the Haney-Garcia fight and what led up to it,
I didn't catch it, but what happened?
Oh, okay. Well, I was just trying to relate it to life and like meeting girls and everything. Like you can't be too eager for something. I feel like, in my opinion.
Well, real quick, because I didn't know that. I thought it's funny. I was watching the lead up. When did the fight already happen or no?
Yes, it happened. It
Who won?
happened on Saturday.
Who
it
won?
Was on Garcia won.
Okay, was it decisive?
Garcia won.
Was it decisive?
Nah, he beat him down.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But my thing was, I felt Haney was too eager to go for the big fight, right? Because Garcia came in 3 pounds overweight, right? But he still wanted to get that fight.
Okay.
And my thing was, you could relate that to life. Was like when you're too eager for something, you're not really thinking logically.
Oh yeah, well, because the eagerness is, what do I say? I mean, and you know what's interesting is, it's weird when I get messages. I got a message from somebody the other say, you ain't say shit that Patrice never said, or you ain't moving the knee. I don't really give a fuck, because I mean you're still listening to me looking for something different. And I knew Patrice intimately in a way, was one of my best friends, and I would never disparage a dead man's name. But look, let me just all I'm gonna say is, y'all putting a dude on a pedestal in a way that is inhuman, because he had his insecurities and his flaws and his and things that he dealt with too, and he was in the progress of growing just like everybody else was. And so this idea of that he was infallible, I've said this 100 times. I mean, you can't call yourself a pimp if you're paying for pussy. And on his through his own mouth, he was going to Brazil paying for pussy. So you can't call yourself a pimp if that's what you was doing. So, and I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying words have meaning. So what you're talking about, I mean, words have meaning. There's tricks, pimps, and hoes, right? They each have a different definition. And the guy who pays for the pussy is called the trick. The woman who sells the pussy is the hoe, and the guy who collects the money is the pimp. Right? Now, I'm not saying you can't shift in different positions, but you can't go, I'm the pimp if you paying for pussy. Let me just say that. And the only reason why I'm talking about that in terms of my good friend who I love dearly and miss every day is that there's a perception when people pass away. There's a perception of people being in a way where they're not realistic about the expectations about human beings and their own flaws. Now, what I was gonna say, what you were talking about is, what you're talking about is, and this is why I brought all of this up. Man, I have been crystallizing and honing down the principles of this the principles of Manschool for most of my life. Not necessarily officially in terms of me being a content creator, but honing it down just to have a better, for my own edification, to understand things in a way that so that I can, that there's something, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but I say that true wisdom is the understanding of underlying concepts, how they relate to situations that seem irrelevant but really are not. What it means is there are cosmic and universal laws. And those cosmic and universal laws exist sort of universally. And that once you have an understanding of the basic fundamentals of those universal laws, you can reapply them in situations that seem irrelevant. So sort of like what you're doing. Like what you're doing is a symbol, it's a tenement of wisdom. The fact that you're taking a boxing scenario and you're relating it to relationships. Now, here's why we already got the answer, and I've said the answer. And you probably, if you're listening to the content, you've heard me. What do I say about emotion? Let me see if you've been listening.
Don't let emotions have a seat at the table.
Exactly. So what does that mean?
Okay. So that means don't always tap into them so hard. Like
never
let
them. You gotta. Whenever you have a decision to make, when you're in your feelings, right? When you're emotional about a situation, you are never able to make the better situation until you remove yourself from the situation and you look at it from a logical perspective. You understand?
Okay.
So that means, and emotion comes in a lot of ways. Could be ego, could be love, could be fear, could be anxiousness. All of these are emotions. So what you're saying is exactly proves the point that true wisdom is the understanding of underlying concepts, how they relate to situations that seem irrelevant. You're saying that Haney wanted this big fight. He wasn't ready for it because his ego told him he was ready, right? When he probably wasn't ready, and he lost because of that, right? Yeah. Same thing. If you call me up and you do a consultation, it's DanteNero.com, click on consult, you can consult with me. But if you call me up and tell me I got this girl and I don't know how to approach her, you're already in your feelings. Because you're shoplifting the pussy. You're in the Bentley store and all you got is $500. But you want me to teach you how to pitch $500 for a Bentley so that you can get the better of the deal. It's just not going to work. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, there's situations where if maybe if you got $250,000, maybe I could teach you how to pitch that deal, right? But if you're not, if you don't deserve to be in the Bentley store and you think you're in the Bentley store, you are shoplifting. What you're doing is you're looking for a bargain. You're looking for something that you really haven't earned. And because of that, you're insecure about the situation. So my point is this. I've crystallized these principles to the point where no matter what whatever phone call I get, I listen to the story, I listen to the details, and then I apply the principles. Was this person authentic? Was this person credible? Did this person have empathy? Were they RFF? Were they reasonable, fair, and firm? Were they in a situation? Did they show empathy when they should have shown empathy? Did they recognize what their non-negotiables and are they negotiating their non-negotiables? I go through all the principles, which is really is crystalled down to a few. There's a few more rules, but pretty much they all relate to that. And any time I've ever taken any consultation and I put it to the test, that checklist. I mean, sure, there's something to me having the ability to see what relates to what. That's the difficult part. That's where the experience comes in. But it always refers back to those same principles over and over again. So you're absolutely right. The principle that you're talking about is the fact that he wanted the big fight, that he was anxious, that his ego took place, that he did not logically look at this situation in a logical way, and he jumped in when he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So he kind of shoplifted this fight. And let's be honest, Lomachenko whipped that ass. Okay? Now, I mean, they robbed Lomachenko, but Lomachenko controlled that fight from beginning to end. I would argue anybody down by that. At one time, Haney was in the corner with Lomachenko and saying to Lomachenko, he said to his people, he knows where I'm at. He knows what I'm doing. I don't know if you remember that. When he was in the corner.
I don't remember, yeah. Okay.
But he was in the corner and he told his coach, he said that he knows what I'm going to do before I'm doing. He was done. And they robbed Lomachenko in that fight. Why? Because they knew that he was, Haney had possibilities for bigger fights.
Bigger fights, yeah.
So but me, I would have been, you got to be honest with yourself. You have to be authentic with yourself. There's no way that Haney thought he won that fight.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe me, Google the fight and see what everybody says. I don't know if you remember the fight. Did you watch the Lomachenko-Haney fight?
I didn't watch the Lomachenko.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Watch the fight. Google what the response was, and then next Tuesday hit me back, or next Sunday when I'll be going live Sunday. So I started going live every Sunday as well. If God, I don't believe in God, but God willing, then I can, I'm not on the road or something, or I'm not traveling. I will be online every Sunday at 7:00 on the Manschool channel. On all platforms actually. So, but yes, you're absolutely right. It is the same thing. It's allowing your emotions to get in front of you, and then your ass is writing checks. You're writing checks that you can't cash. You're absolutely right. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about that is that it goes right back to a basic fundamental man school principle. Never let emotions have a seat at the table. That's not just men. That's women. That's everybody. You know, I just did a consultation with a dude today. Good dude, trying to be a good dude with his girl. His girl got a job in a municipality, and she's around older dudes, and they gotten her, and she's just hitting 30. He's just hitting 30. Loves this girl, would do anything for her. Having a little rough time trying to get his business off the ground because he freelances, and she left him. But what she's doing is she's allowing her emotions and what other people are telling her that, you could do better. You could do better. You could do better, right? But what is better than a dude that loves you, is willing to where your happiness matters, and his existence is providing and making you happy? So now she's, and I talked, he's in love with her, so he thinks she's prettier than she is. So I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, even better. I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10. I usually do 1 to 30, which I got to start getting back to that. But 1 to 10, he said, she's like a 7, right? So even Kevin Samuels says nobody's a 7. That's just a safe bet. When somebody says a 7, it's usually more like a 5 or a 4, right?
5 or 6.
So this is a 4 or 5 who's out, who people are, older dudes are hollering at her because she's in a municipality where there's older dudes telling you, oh, you could do better, girl. What people are telling because it's, he's in the arts, and she's in a, she got a job, right? And and they're all telling you could do better because they want to smash. Nobody's offering her a ring. Nobody's saying I'm gonna marry you. Nobody's saying I'm dedicated to your happiness. And so this is what women do. They'll bounce and they'll leave because the grass is greener on the other side, as if the world is waiting for some 4 or 5 to hit the streets. And we all gonna celebrate and throw a party and do fireworks because a 4 is available now. Nobody's looking for a Toyota Corolla with fucking 130,000 miles on it. You know what I'm saying? With
no way.
So you trying to people are gassing you. So emotionally, your ego tells you better than you are, and you make decisions based on that. And now you've ended a relationship, and now this guy's devastated. Why? Because his life was this woman. He didn't keep his tools sharp. Here's the funny thing. I consulted with him maybe about 4 years ago and helped him with the relationship before. And he's calling me back now because she dumped him. But I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to get him so hot, right? That he's smashing so much gooch that he has options. And I've done that. Like, I've counseled dudes where dudes was like, look, y'all know Harry. I took Harry from a situation where he was literally living with his ex-wife while she was dating somebody. They had split up, but they were still married, and she was dating a dude in the same house with him.
Damn.
And when I got hold of him and I started talking to him. Yo, at one time he had like 5 on the roster. And I remember him driving. He was driving. He was falling asleep on the road. And he was like, "Man, I'm tired. But you can't have 5 and not smash 5. If you take 5, it's like if you got five puppies, you got to walk them all.
Walk them all, yeah.
And this is what you signed up for, which is what? Let's get back to it. What's the principle? Credibility. This is what I asked for. This is what I signed up for. So if I got 5 joints, that means I got to take care of 5. So the sex literally became more of a chore than it was enjoyable because he was tired. He had 5 on the roster, and he was tired. I remember specifically him driving up to Pennsylvania to go smash this chick, and he was falling asleep. And I was like, "Doug, you understand you don't have to do this. You have to do it if you keep her." Right? But if you just cut it off and it's not your responsibility, if you take her to the pound, right? It's not your responsibility. It is your responsibility if you're claiming it. You understand what I'm saying? But he had gotten to the point where he was really, first off, getting cucked to the point where his and because his ex-wife was horrible, right? And she was treating him like trash. She was just, we never liked her when he was with her, right? None of his friends liked her.
Okay.
And ultimately, she ended up, every guy that she did get, she would chase him away, or he would put up for a while until she ran him off, or she castrated him to the point where he was such a pussy that she wasn't attracted to him. And then she was alone again, and he had 5 on the roster. So that's what my plan is for him. I'm gonna get him so much options, he ain't gonna want to know. He ain't gonna know what to do with it. And then
it's gonna be too many for him too.
And then we're gonna scale him down, and then I'm gonna go, now that you have options for everything, what do you want to do? It's like, you ever go to the Chinese buffet? And first thing, you go there first time and you get a little bit of everything, right? And then there's a lot of stuff you go, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. But the second time you go to the Chinese buffet, you get the things that you want, right?
Yeah, you already know what you
what you want. So you're waiting for the crab legs, right? And the third time you go, you don't even go with the stuff that you like. You only eat the stuff that you love. You feel me? So a lot of times it's difficult to make those decisions when you don't have options. You feel me? And that's
when you've never
you've
never been to the buffet.
Right. If you don't get a chance to sample everything, how do you know you like it? You don't like it. I used to say this too, that the best way to not be gay is to not fuck a dude. Or not let a dude fuck you. Because what if you like it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What if you like it? Now, I'm not saying that there's not people who are in that realm where they're about that life, and I grew up. My godfathers were all gay. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you running around sampling, right? Then you wonder, and then you wonder why you're strapped to a gurney with a chick's fist up your ass, and you wonder how you got there. You know what I'm saying? It can happen. I've seen it happen. So yes, absolutely. Your answer to the question is yes, absolutely. Emotion, it's allowing. He allowed emotion at the seat at the table, and to be honest, he wasn't honest. Here's the other principle: the authenticity. He wasn't authentic. He knew he lost that fight. And he knew that Lomachenko. Anybody that disagrees at me, motherfuckers, because I watched the fight. I am a boxing fan. Watch it round for round. Technically, I boxed myself. Dog, he controlled that fight. And so the fact that he took that ass whipping, Haney should have went back to the drawing board and rebuilt again, because even if he didn't win it, even if they gave it to him, he knew he lost it, and he was stepping up to somebody he wasn't ready for. So, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for calling in, man.
Oh, thank you, Dante. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. The thing about all of this is that, like, I'm so this is like, even when I get the criticisms about, people being the content. Real quick, 347-464-2827. Even when I talk about the these principles, like, and I get people in the comments, and they, people who have listened to fucking Alpha Male or Fresh and Fit, or even sometimes Kevin Samuels, because there's things that I disagreed with Kevin Samuels, because I think he was too pragmatic, and I believe he was pragmatic because he just didn't have the cross section of sampling that I had. Like, that dude was not a killer. You could tell. I could tell by the way he walked, the way he moved. He just didn't have that kind of swag, and you could see it. You could see it because it's just a different type of swag. I'll give you. Let me see a quick example. I can give it that. If any, I don't expect my fans to have watched this, but if you watched, Myq, what was the stripper movie with Channing Tatum?
You thinking Magic Mike?
Magic Mike, right? So in Magic Mike, I watched Magic Mike, and the reason why I watched Magic Mike because I came from that. I wanted to see how authentic the
Was it?
Yeah. Here's the difference. You remember
was
the guy?
Was it based on anything? Maybe it was like someone who was actually a stripper might have wrote it then.
Yeah, but was there
enough behind the scenes stuff where you're like, whoever wrote this knows what they're talking about?
Yeah, there was definitely some authenticity, but I'll tell you this. Do you remember the guy that killed himself? The guy, the dancer that used to be on Ellen Twitch, the one that committed suicide?
No.
All right, so he was in all the dance movies and whatnot. But he can you bring his picture up, Mike? Can you?
Yeah, I can. Bring it up. Right.
Yeah, so Twitch was a dancer.
Was her DJ?
Yes, right. He committed suicide, right? Mental health, which is something I want to talk about too. Well, so there's a scene in Magic Mike. Yeah, that's Twitch. But there's a scene in Magic Mike where Channing Tatum is dancing with side by side by Channing Tatum. And Channing Tatum was actually a male stripper, right? And clearly Twitch was a better dancer, classically trained and everything. But there was a difference in the way stripping is the sex appeal, the connection that you have with a woman is very different. And you only know that if you've done male stripping. And because here's the difference. A dancer dances for the audience. A stripper dances for the woman. Let me explain. What you do as a male stripper is you dance for the woman. It is to entice her because women think grossly different than men. Women watch you. They're voyeurs. They watch you and you're focused with another woman and they get turned on by watching it, right? A dancer performs for the audience, a stripper performs. So there were little things that I could see when Channing Tatum was doing his thing. I go, oh, this guy he's authentic. He's for real. Because you could see where he wasn't focused on the audience. He was focused on the girl because the girls or the women in the strip club were all focused on him. And they get turned on by him engaging with her. Here's an interesting principle about women. How do women find you attractive? You other women co-sign you. So it doesn't even matter how ugly you are. When other women are attracted to you, right? It makes other women go, oh, what's he? They could not even be your type. This is like when I remember when they were calling Jay-Z Joe Camel. And then all of a sudden, because he got Beyonce, everybody was like, oh, he's just so sexy. It's just because they confirm it in their own minds. Emotionally, women confirm attractiveness. I remember walking into a party and I was smashing these two chicks and I walked in and, women were like, oh, he's with two of them, blah, 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 blah. But every woman in there was like, well, why are they so happy? Why is he with two women? Why are they both happy? Why are they willing to share him? And every time they wasn't on my lap, I was around, somebody was trying to get at me. Men and women think differently. The way we look at intimacy, the way that we look at sex is distinctly different. Women co-signing you as being attractive makes you attractive. If you're an ugly dude with a pretty girl, now we're talking, they're gonna take a second look. Now it might be because you got money and somebody might be gold digger, but if you got chicks, and it's funny, even in the comedy community, I've always had chicks, like I bring girls out with me or whatever, and all of I remember Rachel Feinstein's pretty famous comment. She goes, I've never seen one of them where they wasn't smiling and they wasn't happy and they wasn't elated to be with you. Clearly that speaks to, they're not faking that, They're not faking that. And I think it's important to understand that women's, the way the attraction is very different. It's very different. There's a thing on if y'all check out next week's podcast. I review this thing. There's a YouTube channel where it goes pop the balloon or find love, where you take a bunch of women, they put them up against a wall. A guy walks out. If they're not interested in them, they pop the balloon. Pop, 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 pop. As soon as the guy walks out, sometimes they'll pop. Have you ever seen this, Mike?
No, but there's another show with the buzzer in the middle. I always see the clips of it where it's like they go on
Right,
speed
but
dates.
that's a one-on-one, right?
Uh-huh.
This is where they take 8-10 women. The guy walks out, and the women are each holding a red balloon, and the guy walks out, and they go pop, 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 right? They start.
Oh, you get like you're picking a litter.
Right. Well, no. They pop the balloon if they're not interested, right? So sometimes when the guy would just on base look,
He steps in,
and they just pop, 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 and the pop. Here's the funny thing: they do the opposite with women. When the woman looks out, when she comes out, even if she's not maybe the most attractive woman. I mean, it's not like it's not like they're picking burn victims. You know what I'm saying? They're all attract, sixes and betters or better. But guys will not pop the balloon, and they'll have a conversation with the girl. Let me see this. Let me see that. What do you do? What are you into? What kind of guy do you like? They'll ask questions. Well, what do you do? This and that. And then maybe they'll pop the balloon based on that. But the guys never really go, when the girl walks out and everybody goes pop, 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 right? Number two, part of that, even if she wasn't up to par, guys will lie. They don't want to hurt a girl's feelings. So they don't just go out raw dog and be like, if the girl is nasty to them, they'll be nasty back. But a lot of times guys will reserve the right to preserve it is our nature to want to be protective. Anybody that denies that just doesn't know men. But you got to understand, let's go back to the principles, authenticity, tell the truth. This is what happens when your girl says, "Oh, do I look fat in this dress?" You don't got to say, "Bitch, you look like a fucking a tow truck." That's not what you got to. That's not what you want to say. But you can say, "I don't think this dress flatters you. This doesn't do anything for you." And you got to be honest about it, because why is the honesty? I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it again until you guys get it. And trust is the most attractive thing about a man. If she can't trust you, how when you tell her you love her, does she believe you? If you say I got your back, no matter what happens, I got your back. If she can't trust you, how does she believe you if you're a liar? It's something that I call the Judge Judy effect. I've spoke about this on the lives plenty of times. You go to Judge Judy or you go to any courtroom, you get caught in a lie. The first 5 to 10 minutes, you lose your credibility. Now, there's nothing that you say is credible, even if it's a little lie. Even if you say you spoke to somebody and you didn't speak to them. So here's what's interesting. When men have this, we perceive lies. We perceive a lie as something that we say in order to gain advantage, like money or jobs or whatever, or take somebody, something that's nefarious. But men also lie not to create a problem. A man will lie to keep the peace. So when there's a situation, something that's bothering him, a man will bite his tongue and eat it because he doesn't want a problem. The guy will also lie if he doesn't want to hurt, because he doesn't want to hurt a woman's feeling. And I understand the empathy of that, but you still have to have empathy and still live in your truth. You still have to tell the truth, because without telling the truth, you lose your credibility. Now, you can maintain your credibility and still have empathy and not be obnoxious and rude where you destroy somebody's confidence, but you still have to say the truth. And if you're not interested in somebody, you could say, well, you're just really not my type. And don't lie. Don't say, well, I'm just not really interested in a relationship, or I'm not interested in hooking up with anybody today. Because if you do that, and then she sees you, the woman sees you hitting on somebody else, now you're a liar because you told her you wasn't down. Like, you have to be honest enough that you say the truth. I don't feel like we have a connection. Or whatever you say, whatever words you say, you can be kind and still be truthful. But it's important. 347-464-2827. Oh yeah. So I had this guy. He was married to an older woman who decided she wasn't gonna be a hoe no more, and she decided it when they got married. He called me up in an asexual marriage, and I said, listen, you have to understand that this woman doesn't care about your happiness. You've expressed to her already that you want to have, that you want your sex lives to be better, right? And she's heard you out, and she hasn't done anything about it. Why doesn't she do anything? Women do what they want to do. You don't believe me? Ask the dude whose girl just left him. She decided he wasn't good enough, and she left. You hit on a girl, and she don't like you, she gonna tell you, I don't like you. You walk out and pop the balloon or find love, they will pop they don't hesitate to pop the balloon. They don't give a fuck about your feelings or anything else. Your girl finds somebody who's better, she's leaving you. Doesn't matter what there's no loyalty, and there's no crying in baseball. And understand that's the animal that you're dealing with. We're different. But anyway, he basically said that, yeah, we got a call, let's go.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Caller, you're on the air.
Hello? All right, well, we'll keep moving.
Yeah, I hung up. If they want to call back, they can call back.
Yeah. So anyway, I counseled the dude, and I said, listen, if you've had a conversation with her about that you're dissatisfied with your sex life, and she hasn't done anything about it, then you got to leave. Yeah, let's go. We got a call.
Caller, you're on the air.
Yo, Dante, can you hear me?
Yeah, who am I speaking with?
Yo, this is Greg from Detroit.
Cool, what's going on? How can I help you, family?
So, yeah, I was just, I got a quick question for you because I kind of noticed this going on. Huh?
Let it fly, baby. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what do you say to anybody out there who's dealing with, obviously dealing with a woman that you might have children with that you can't get rid of, but like it's like this crazy thing going on to where, it's like an epidemic where they want to throw these words around like narcissist or mental health, like they're trying to do these things.
So they're using all the new now what is the context?
Yeah, the new words that they figured out over the internet.
I mean, listen, ain't nothing new. And, I mean, people been dating it, but it's in the context of what?
Anything. Whenever you not doing what she don't want to do, or if she does something stupid and then you cuss her the hell out,
all right. First of all,
anything.
First, you shouldn't be cussing her out.
Right.
Okay. Let me explain something. If you're cussing your woman out, let's start with that. And I don't mean to be, people. Sometimes people get on me because they feel as though that I'm being nitpicky. But the reason why I'm being nitpicky is because how should I put it? If I'm teaching you how to box, right? And anybody knows how to throw a right hand know that you got to pivot with the right foot when you throw the right cross, right? When I was a kid, my dad taught me how to throw the right cross. And every time I didn't pivot on the right hand, with the right foot when I threw the right cross, right? And I didn't twist my hips, my pops would pop me in the head with the pads, right? Until the point came where me twisting and using my hips when I threw the right cross, I couldn't do it without it. Right now, if you ask me to throw a right cross and not twist my hips and not twist my ankle, like put my because you're up on that foot and you make that twist, I can't do it without. So it's important, but that's where the power is generated. So the perfection of the form is important. So when I hear something that is troubling, I can't let it go. So the reason why you shouldn't be cussing your woman out is because she's not hearing what you say. When you are yelling, when you're raising your voice and you're cussing her out, all she hears is the curses. She doesn't hear the point that you're trying to make. And if you got a woman who's already in a situation who's using this gaslighting, narcissistic, these are the words you're talking about, right?
Narcissistic.
The shit
they read about on TikTok.
Yeah, whatever they're hearing, which it's just all crap. What I would do is, how do you feel I'm being narcissistic? Just ask the question. Because if
I got it. So
go ahead.
Oh, so I got one of the ones with the psychology degree.
Okay.
Right. So she fancies herself some expert, or in this particular field. But it's weird because it's like you can't really. First off, you always you always like try to psychoanalyze yourself.
She's trying to be your caseworker.
Therapist will tell you.
She's trying to be your caseworker every time you do something, right?
Yeah, almost something like that.
Okay, how is the relationship? Is the relationship good, or is this just something?
It's not a relationship. It's a co-parenting relationship.
Yeah, but I'm saying, are you in a relationship with she? If she asks, "Am I in a relationship?" Or no? Or you're just co-parent. You're not even with her.
No.
So what? Give me an example of what the problem is.
So it would be a simple scheduling change, right?
Okay.
We'll have a scheduling change with my son. Okay. And then, that will affect my parenting time, and we'll have to, do some, switching stuff around.
Okay.
And the first thing that clicks off of her head is, oh, let me run down the child support court, because if he has to be over here, if you have to drop him off on Sundays now as opposed to taking him to school Monday like you used to, and I should get more money. So, and I'm like, well, I don't understand why you want to do that. You're the one who changed the schedule. I didn't just wake up and say, I'm not gonna come get him. You knew that you changed the schedule and you knew about my work schedule. And I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but it's like, what did you expect? And at first it's all good when I'm telling you about the schedule, and then out of the blue, here we are 2 weeks later, you change your mind and you want to run down.
Okay, now has she run down to court and did that? Has she done that?
I don't believe so.
It's
a
threat.
Because that's a thing that it's one of those. Yeah, it's a threat, and it's one of those things that take time. So she can do it, and you won't even get a letter in the mail for 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't really know.
Okay, but 6 to 8 weeks, if she did it, you would get a letter, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Understand something. First of all, the first thing we got to do is we got to be authentic about this. You picked this crazy bitch, right? And you picked this crazy bitch, and I guarantee you, she was no different when you picked her to than who she is now. The difference was let's go back to the principles again. I don't know if you heard me earlier talking about the principles. We don't let emotion have a seat at the table, right? If you're in love and you're having these issues where somebody is selfish, or she's not taking responsibility, or she's being unreasonable, I guarantee you that she was unreasonable when y'all were dating, before you had the kids. The difference was...
This is true.
The difference was...
It was less extreme then.
No, you loved her and you were letting it slide. Because if you saw it and you recognized what it was, you might not have had a child with her. You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of conversations like this where, me and you've done personal consultations about it, and I told you,
okay,
I've always had to, check things and try to fix certain things here and there, and then, but that it was. I don't consider me letting it slide, but it was more so like I saw it, but it wasn't as bad as it is now because
but when you saw it, you didn't speak up on it and you didn't nip it in the bud. Because if you had saw it and you had spoke up on it and then it continued, then you have to take responsibility for the fact that she is being who she is. Just because, you know what I'm saying? Look, let's say, let's talk about the rest in peace, O.J. Simpson. But somebody doesn't start off cutting somebody's head off. Do you know what I mean? That's not the first move. First, it's you fucking bitch, right? Then it's it's grabbing you by the shoulders. Then it's choking you. Then it's smacking you. Then it's punching you. Then it's kicking you. Then you break a chair over there. Then you cut their... What I'm saying to you is that all of this stuff is progressive, and we have to understand that when there is disrespect, the disrespect never gets better. At least if you're checking it and somebody loves you and you're checking them, this is why the honesty is important. Because if you check it in somebody, if you say to somebody, if somebody's in love with you, like let's talk about the time when, at the time when y'all were just in love and y'all were moony, tootsie, you know what I'm saying? It was all gravy, right? She did these things and you probably let some of it go. And then maybe you got to the point where it was something where you had to say something about it, right? And when you said something about it, you made it clear. You probably had a conversation, had a clear understanding, or at least you felt there was a clear understanding of what was going on and where y'all had this disagreement. And then y'all moved on, and then it happened again, right?
Yeah, I think what you're saying about that is the biggest problem is I'll do all of those things, and then there's a big gap in between the next time you have a similar problem. Like it'll be a year later.
Yeah, but there's another. You know what I mean? But and I guarantee you it wasn't a year later. You're exaggerating. I know for a fact it wasn't a year. It might have been a lesser infraction, but it was still respective of this kind of disrespect. If you're in a relationship, here's the thing. If and this is for men, women, and otherwise, if you're in a relationship and the person is not trying to make you happy, or at least what you're asking them to do to make, then they're not in a place where they say, listen, I'm never going to be that person, right? And so if this is a deal breaker, then we probably have to, I love you and I care about you, but then maybe we should go our separate ways. But we're dishonest about it because we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose the person. We love the person. It's painful. But when you're honest about who you are, then you force somebody to make a decision based on what the truth is. And once you make the decision based on what the truth is, right, then you got to live with you get no pity for changing your mind. I told you. So what I'm saying is when it happened again, how old's your kid?
3.
Okay, and how long were you with her before the kid?
4 years.
Okay, so in the course of that, she showed this. I guarantee you can't tell me I'm lying, and if you do, then you lying. She showed this behavior.
I'm not saying you are.
I know you're not. Because we've talked before. I know your voice. Well, I'm just saying this. I'm saying that for the sake of the listeners.
Oh yeah, for the listeners.
Okay, what I'm saying is this happened. You spoke about it. Y'all probably came to some kind of conclusion, and then she did it again. Instead of you saying you got to, here's another principle. I don't say this nearly enough. You got to make ultimate decisions, not give ultimatums, right? So I'm saying that you got to speak up and you got to be honest. But when you've told somebody clearly what your boundaries are, and somebody steps over those boundaries, right? What they're saying in essence, without verbally saying, is I don't give a fuck about what your boundaries are and your happiness. I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do. Now, when y'all were together, if she had said that to you, right, you would have been forced to go, well, I'm not living like this. I guess we're going to have to break up, right?
Right.
If she said, you bitch-ass motherfucker, I do what the fuck I want to do, and this is how I respond, and I don't give a fuck what you say, what your happiness, I'm going to do what the fuck, you would break up, right?
Right.
But but you understand that's what she's saying. She's just not saying it verbally. And this is the thing where especially men who grow up with single-parented homes and don't have a strong masculine figure, you want closure. Closure is for bitches. We can make decisions based on the information that we have. I say, this is an unacceptable behavior. She says, and if this is this, and you make it clear that this doesn't make you happy, and you go, and then it happens again, it's time to pack your bags. Not the third time, not the fifth time, not after you have the baby. It's time to pack your bags, because your complicitness in allowing this behavior to continue, what you're saying is the behavior is acceptable. Even if you're not verbally saying, you see that there's all this subtext of nonverbal communication that's going on, that you don't think it's happening because you didn't say it. But what you're saying, it's fine, you can treat me like trash. And she's going, yeah, good, I'm glad, because I think of you as trash, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Your happiness is not important to me. And if you're in that relationship, why would you have a baby with somebody like that? You understand?
Yeah, I mean, and I just kind of noticed it, like you said, just simply for the listeners. It's just kind of like this thing where it's always this finger pointing and using these different words.
But it was always that, even before the words. Yeah. Maybe a little more subtle. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you and I are best friends, right? And I say, my name is Dante, and you call me Tay, right? And I say, I don't like being called Tay. Don't call me Tay, right? And you go, oh, are you getting sensitive? I say, yo, my man, I said, don't call me Tay, right? If you continue to call me Tay, why are you doing that? What would be a reason why you
do it? Be disrespectful.
You're being disrespectful. So me smacking you in your fucking mouth would be reasonable, right?
Right.
Even if we're friends, the next time you call me Tay, if I go in your mouth, right? Then we have an understand that. But see, men don't do that because we understand that there's a basic low-level threat of violence when we deal with each other, even if we're friends. You know, I've had best friends of mine that I said, listen, you were disrespectful. I want you to understand that we are no longer friends. The next time you have you understand, I won't even threaten them, but I'll say the next time we have a disagreement, understand something, I will treat you like a stranger. Now, they know what that means because they've seen my work, right? But they know what that means. It's clear. But what is that? Let's go back to the principles. It just goes back to the principles again. What is that? Credibility. If I say don't do it, don't do it. You know why? Because if you do it, there will be consequences. So what I'm saying is you discounted your manhood. You didn't stay credible. You weren't honest. And then you stayed, which communicated to her that this gaslighting and all this bullshit, and you being her caseworker and all this nonsense. You are in this situation. The real question is, how do you handle this, right?
That's the true question.
That the real question is, it's just as simple as everything else. Practice the principles. Tell the truth, be credible, and be empathetic. What I mean by that is, if you're being truthful and you're being honest and you're showing up when you're supposed to be showing up and you're being a good dad, and then when she starts to get into this narcissistic, there's no reason for you to listen to that. If your relationship has to be co-parenting, then there's only thing that you should be talking about is that kid. Her doing.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it starts.
Okay, but
I'm only calling her about the kid.
Right, but her assassination of your character is not talking about the kid. And whatever she does goes down to the courtroom, whatever. All you have to do. I'm going to give you an example. Everybody knows that my wife took my son to England. Now, I'm a firm believer in retrospect, and this is why I'm so open and honest about this, because I want people to understand that there's things that I don't even know. What happened was her mother, my wife's mother, did the same thing to her kids, right?
What do you mean the same thing?
Okay, so her mother.
Oh, like took them away from the dad.
I'll tell you what happened. She had two kids with her first husband, which was a Jewish dude, right? She was in the house with the Jewish dude, right? There was a black dude who lived upstairs. She was cheating on the Jewish dude with the black dude in the house, right? Had left the Jewish dude, moved in with the black dude, had 2 kids with him, and then left him and took all the kids with her and left them. So my wife's feminine model was a woman who just took the kids and left. I don't need a man.
Oh.
Now, how did I miss this? I'm the guru. So the question is, how did I miss this? I had never met her mother because she was incommunicado with the mother, and the mother was in England. And even when I went out to England, and even before the kid, I was traveling back and forth to England. I never met the mother because she wasn't in conversation with the mother or the sisters or any of the family. So I never met them. So I didn't have any information. I had no data to see that this was coming. But there were other things that were red flags for me, right? But then she ended up pregnant, and she was pretty one of the things that I was very sure about was that she loved kids, and I knew she would be a great mother. I watched her interact with other kids, and she absolutely is an absolute great mother. Like my son, man, if I had a mother like her, right, I don't know. I don't even know if I would have the fire in my belly the way I do, because You know, my son is at the aquarium on Monday. He's at the farm on Tuesday, petting cows and donkeys. On Wednesday, he's at the museum. On Thursday, he's at the farmer's market. And on Friday, he's gardening. He's finger painting. You know what I'm saying? My son's only 4. He bakes with him. She's so attentive. Like, her whole life is him, which is interesting because her mother is super forgetful, like just selfish and disregards everything. My wife's broke her arm when she was 9 years old. Her mother doesn't remember that her daughter broke the arm. She says, no, I don't remember that. I mean, can you imagine your kid breaks his arm and your mother don't remember that?
Yeah,
you realize how but I stepped into a situation with limited information, and because they were incommunicado, and let me take part of the blame. Let me tell you what my blame was and where I didn't follow the principles and why my son is in England. I let emotion have a seat at the table. Let me explain why. I was 53 years old. I had never found a woman that I thought was good enough mother to have my children, right? I was 53 years old. I had really resigned to myself that I wouldn't have a child, right? Because I couldn't find nobody good enough. I was 50-something years old. I mean, I didn't think I would have. And all of a sudden, I started thinking about having a seed and this and that and the other. And it was more about me having a child than having a child with the person that I could connect with and really have a marriage with, right? But I thought, she's good enough, right? She's good enough.
Yeah.
And I wanted a kid. Right. I didn't want to go out of this world with all the knowledge and all the things that I've learned and all my experience and not have somebody that I could pass it down to. You feel me? So
yeah,
the woman.
You know what? It's okay. Go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it's crazy. I'm actually about to look on your site and I'm about to get a consultation. I just figured I'd call because my situation is almost identical because it was things that I've seen.
Yeah.
And her mother, and I kind of just was like, well, that's just how women are, or whatever.
That's how we. But here's understand that is how we all are. The women become their mother. The men become their father. And when we're men that don't have a father, you get bitch assness. I always say this all the time. Patrice didn't grow up with a mother, and so when we would have arguments, Patrice would give me the silent treatment. And I would be like, what kind of bitch ass shit I'm calling you? You're not calling me back. Well, I just figured you would have said the same. Well, pick up the phone. But this was a feminine way in dealing with I'm saying her problems, with his problems. But it was like bitch ass way to deal with problems. Yeah. Because why? How did he learn to fight and to argue and to resolve conflict? From his mother. So you got to relearn that. But you see, and real quick, just if you get a consultation, DanteNero.com, click on consult. But here's my thing. When she went to England, she had said all kinds of shit about me. The family was like really worried about who is this guy that she had a baby with. And when I got there, I was just so solid, right? I was just so solid. Right. That her family was like, even her mother was like, which I didn't care about her judgment because she, this is a chick who, had her daughter break her arm. She don't even remember.
Right.
So what you know what I'm saying? So I don't even fuck what she thinks. But I was so righteous and so credible and so honest and so forthright and that you can't, what you gonna do with that? If anybody tries to say that, if you, dog, and here's my thing. I had a thing I did on Godfrey's podcast, and when Country Wayne was talking about fucking Godfrey, keep my name out of your mouth. I don't know if you knew about that whole thing. We had a beef with that, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
And I don't know if you heard what my response was. All these broadband bullies, everybody's a thug on a digital thug. Yo, I said on his podcast, when you talking about all their goons, because he's rich, he might have goons. I was the goon that my friends called. So you ain't saying shit. Pull the fuck up. I'm 57. I still keep an ice pick on me. But I said, if you pull up, make sure you pull up make sure you don't send me a Facebook message first or a video message saying that you coming at, because I'm always ready. And I'm not saying I'm invincible, I'm some kind of gangster or nothing like that. But dog, I'm not sleep. Dog, I ran the streets too long to know I'm sleeping. My point being this: if you practice these principles, if you stay authentic, if you tell the truth, if you stay credible, if you stay empathetic, when you're having a conversation about scheduling and this and that, if she's gonna run and go and child support or whatever the fuck she's gonna, you can't stop her doing for what she's gonna do. You're never gonna change who she is as a person. But what you do know is all you can control is your authenticity. And if you do that, nobody can combat that. I had a viral clip that went viral. It was like, did something like 8 million when I talked about Will Smith. I said, Will Smith's worth $500 million, but he's in an infinity pool filled with his tears because he's in a house where nobody loves him. We think the money and the money is the commodity. But you know what the commodity is? The commodity is time and what you do at that time. And if you stay truthful and authentic in time, if you stay credible, and if you are truthful, credible, and authentic and empathetic, you cannot be a better person. There's no such thing as a better person than that. There's two things that you will have to do as a human being for the rest of your life is ask for forgiveness and give forgiveness. That is the nature of the human condition, the fact that nobody is perfect, because perfection is unattainable, even though we try to pursue it, because as you get closer to perfection, perfection moves further away from you, because as you get closer, you see more imperfections. It's never ending. So it's an unattainable thing that we pursue because that makes us the best person that we could possibly be. And if you're righteous with this, like if she's giving you she's giving you, oh, you're gaslighting, it's this, you're narcissistic, it's listen, you're not my caseworker. I guess I'll speak to you. Then you have to state what you can't curse her out, you shouldn't yell, but you can't give that energy. Things are great between my wife and I now because I'm financially I'm taking care of my son. I go out to England as much as I can. I FaceTime with him 4 or 5 times a day. I wish he was in my arms. And soon as my money's right or I'm not working, I shoot out to England. I spend time with him. I get a hotel and I spend. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But I can only do what I can do, and I am subject to the decisions that she made, which was her running back to England. When I met her, she said to me, "I want to live in Brooklyn in a brownstone and have a child." I gave her all of that, and she ran away from that. Why did she run away from that? It's the same thing her mother did. I would just
and that.
Go ahead.
And like I saw that, and it was certain things that I was seeing, and it was. I'll tell you about it later, but it was a moment where she was already pregnant, and I was with her and her mother, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Same thing happened to me.
This is what I'm. Yeah, it was like this is what I'm in for, but she was already pregnant by then.
But the difference for me, the difference for me was I started. I had no information. Like she was sweet. I'll give you an example. When she came from London to see me, right? She was staying in my house, and I was going to work, right? And I had a stack of maybe 750 pictures of naked bitches with dildos in their ass and fucking sucking my dick, just And I'm old dude, so they was Polaroids, and you know what I'm saying. They were physical pictures. It wasn't in my phone. And I had this stack of pictures. She cleaned out my drawers, my vestibule, my drawers. And when I came home, she said, "Oh, I found your pictures." She said, "I put them in I sorted them by girl."
Alphabetical order or something like that.
She said, "I sorted them by girl, and I put them. There's one pile here, another pile here, and I couldn't fit the rest of them, so I put the other pile underneath the bottom." And so she was, you know what I'm saying? When somebody does, you go, I can marry this chick. But dog, it was all fake. It was all fake. When
how do you avoid that though?
Huh?
How do you avoid the fakeness though?
You can't. Here's the thing. She literally was I remember when she got pregnant, she was like, I was like, yo, I understand you don't feel great, but can a dude get a blowy or something, right? And she said to me, and I quote, I thought you would have taken care of that already. That's what she said to me.
Yeah, I heard it. She thought you was gonna go in the corner and jack off. That's what that means.
No, she.
I heard you say that before.
But here's the thing: I've been podcasting for 10 years. Y'all know intimate details about that I've had orgies and threesomes and all kinds of dirty shit. What she meant was I figured you would have got somebody to take care of it, and I said fair enough, and I made a phone call. I don't think she thought I was going to make that call so quick. But because listen, I'm a hunter. I always keep my tools sharp. So I made a call and I was in the game, right? And then when she found out that I was in the game, she got mad. How could you do this to me? Things are different. I'm like, yeah, okay. I didn't even deal with that. I didn't even address that. I said, you told me to handle it. This is where I come with the principle about when you get married or you say, listen, you're signing up to fuck me and suck me for the rest of my life. And if you don't, somebody else is. You got to say that because the assumption is not there. If the assumption is not there, right? You got to make it clear. And I say that to young dudes. And I don't care how loving the relationship is. The woman needs to know what her responsibility is and what she's. And if this is not what you're signing up for, then we shouldn't get married. We could just fuck around and smash and keep it moving. Because women want the wedding, but they don't want the marriage. They don't want the responsibility and the accountability of it. You understand? And then when they're in a situation, then they have to be accountable. Then it's your fault that they have to be accountable. So there's no more assumptions. You have to verbally say it. Because women don't operate that way. You know, if you and I are best friends and you're disrespectful to me and I say, you don't call me that, and you keep calling me, I'm going to smack you in your mouth. Eventually, either that or we're not going to be friends. But if first I might just avoid you, but if you keep pressing me, dog, y'all got to get in that ass. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, but this goes to the credibility. All right? Make sense?
Right.
Consultation. Hit me with a consultation when you get a chance. I'll tell you how to manage this.
I'm gonna try to get one right now. I'm gonna be real busy this weekend. I don't know what your schedule looks like.
Whatever, dog.
I'm about to do it right now.
Just go to DanteNero.com. The calendar's there. You can block it out whenever you want to block it, and that goes for anybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell so that y'all know when I'm going live. Keep in mind I'm going live every Tuesday at 8:30, and I'm going at my home studio. I'm going Sunday at 7 o'clock. Sunday at 7 o'clock. That's what y'all asked for. That's what I'm doing. Thanks for calling in, bro. Yo, I think that's it, Mike. We got to shut it down, right? Let's get out of here, man. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Please press the button. Please subscribe. We need this numbers to go. Also, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Manschool202. That helps me financially so that I can keep doing what I'm doing and I can survive doing this and spitting this knowledge. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? The Sexual Revolution is being podcasted. The merch is coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll look out for that. And don't forget the live on Sunday at 7 and Tuesday at 8:30. Peace. We out of here.
Manschool202. Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Well, put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't.